Okay, so I think we can confront Nurse Dorothy Crane now about these blackmails.
We made it to the rogue dispensary, where she tries to legally rescue suffering patients from the Spanish flu. So she probably plans to use the blackmail money to improve the dispensary, and probably also to buy medicine to the black market.
Yeah.
So she doesn't seem to be a bad person after all, but she puts your best friend's life in jeopardy.
Let's see what she has to say.
That's a dilemma. Dorothy is also a pillar of the Whitechapel community,
yeah,
which means she is a very important character whose fate will deeply impact the citizens of this district.
Yeah, just for anyone who's just recently tuned in, this is Vampyr. It's a narrative-driven action RPG from Don't Nod Entertainment. So the quest that we're doing right now, we've been investigating these blackmails in the hospital where we work, and we're about to confront the culprit.
I need help!
Looks like
what do we have here, nurse?
Patient Raz Van Vasily, high fever running on 3 days. Complaints of dizziness, muscle aches, and head pain, diagnosed with influenza.
Treatment?
Aspirin and salicin for the fever and discomfort, liquids for dehydration, but he's having trouble keeping even water down.
Aspirin and salicin, you say? Why not some warm milk and a kiss on the cheek? Where are the quinine salts?
Tried buying, borrowing, even stealing. There's none to be found, Doctor.
He's not convulsing, he's choking. He's not getting any air. Sculp! Hand me that sculp!
What can I do, Doctor?
It's too dangerous to operate with these convulsions. Sedative, nurse. Do we have any anesthetics?
I'm sorry, Doctor. None at all.
I need to perform a tracheostomy. Short pipe. That rubber tube will do. We're going to cut a passage for air through the neck.
Yes, Doctor. He's breathing again, but he's coughing up blood.
Internal hemorrhaging. I need to make another incision into the chest cavity to drain the fluids from the lung. Prepare another tube.
A thoracostomy? Doctor, we've nothing to fight the infection. We need an aseptic environment.
Don't question me, nurse. I need a drain. Now.
Yes, Doctor. He's still bleeding, Doctor. I'm losing his pulse.
The drain must have punctured the intercostal artery. There's too much blood.
Are you all right, Doctor?
I can't see.
So you'll notice that his face is a bit messed up.
Yeah.
And why is that?
It's because we have already killed too many citizens, actually. And you are going slowly but surely to your real nature of the monster you are. So the more citizens you kill, the more your face will change and become
Allow me to finish the procedure alone. I need the room.
I'd prefer to stay and see this through. This is my patient, Doctor. I have needle and thread for stitching the wound.
Good. The stitches are holding. How's he doing?
We're losing him. We've lost his pulse. He's dying, Doctor!
A dose of epinephrine, now.
Yes, Doctor. We've lost the pulse. He's gone, Doctor.
Nurse, we did everything we could.
Truly? Everything you could? Is that how you'll report this in your log? Is this how the war went? Piling up one poor corpse beside the next?
This was not an influenza-induced seizure. I've never seen symptoms like these on the continent.
Neither have I. But the previous symptoms leading up to this attack were the same, indistinguishable from the epidemic.
No. There was something more vile in these reactions. Something primitive.
There have been numerous reports of mental breakdowns caused by the fever that accompanies the flu itself, Doctor.
Yes, but...
So yeah, Jonathan's ultimate goal is to find a cure, to understand what happened to the people who are being transformed into skulls, you know.
Yeah.
So he's conducting research throughout London to understand where it came from and try to determine if the Spanish flu is somehow connected to this vampiric virus.
Yeah.
So maybe this blood sample will give him the answers he is looking for. So was this man about to turn into a skull too? So could this dispensary become a dangerous place, a source of infection? I think it's time to confront Dorothy and make a crucial decision.
I suspect it was more than intuition alone that led you to us. So, how might I be of service, Dr. Reid?
I've come to put an end to this insufferable blackmailing, Dorothy.
Doctor, you think your warnings scare me? I've stolen and plied, blackmailed and lied, but what else am I to do? I'm all these people have.
You've convinced me of the sincerity of your actions and their noble justifications. But all the same, blackmail is a crime, and it will stop, Nurse Crane.
So, are you going to turn me over to the authorities?
Well, now we're facing one of the many morally ambiguous choices of the game. And depending on your actions, it may or may not put the entire Whitechapel district in jeopardy. So what to do? Kill her to put a definitive ending to the blackmail while shutting down the dispensary, or encourage Dorothy to continue this illegal business, but without insurance of what could happen to this place in the future. And there's also, as you can see, a third hidden option, but you need more hints in order to unlock this one.
Yeah, so maybe if we'd been a bit more thorough in our investigations prior to this, we would have had more possibilities.
Exactly. So, what to do?
Well, if we spare her, we don't know what's gonna happen.
You are never sure of what could happen.
Yeah, I don't like uncertainty, so I'm calling it. I think embrace.
Okay, safety first.
Yeah.
Nurse Crane, there is no question that the work you've done here is extraordinary. But this dispensary is incapable of coping with the outbreak. It's only a question of days before the situation at hand will overwhelm us. I cannot allow it. It's my duty to put an end to this immediately.
I'm not ashamed. I did what was right. For in the end, I saved lives and you took them. But we had so much in common, Doctor. Don't you see that?
Feels pretty bad.
There is no turning back.
No,
you have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah. So next time we rest, we're going to see, at least on a macro level, the impact on the Whitechapel district.
Yeah.
But there could be consequences down the line. We don't know.
Yeah, of course, there are consequences story related that we won't reveal in this presentation for spoilers, no spoilers. But this kind of scene have very huge consequences on the story, on the citizens of Whitechapel, and as you said, on the health status of the district.
Oh, we've been tracked down by some vampire hunters. Oh, it's just having a nice rest. Wow.
Excellent.
Totally on purpose. Before we go into the questions and answers, just got a little sneak peek of something cool. In a few weeks we're going to be running a competition to win this. It's like a special Vampyr Xbox. So put this together in partnership with Microsoft. So this is a actual Xbox One console. Look, it's all got cool stuff inside. There we go. Is this on camera? Yeah. Okay, so we've got a. Where are they? I'm using the camera to.
This is a steak.
Yeah, we've got a steak.
Nice one.
We've got a special Vampyr controller. I think we've got some images up actually. Maybe Miguel, if you bring up some images, thanks. Yeah, there you go. So stay tuned on our social media networks, on Twitter and Facebook, because yeah, you could be in a chance of winning this. Cool. So yeah, I'm going to dive into a few of the questions.
Yeah, sure.
So we've been gathering your questions sort of throughout the stream. So I've got a few of them in front of me. So someone asked if we're playing on PC. Yes, we are, with a controller. But yeah, this is on PC. Is it possible to create new vampires ourselves, like as pets or minions?
Not really like pets or minions, but you would be able to turn people into vampires later on, but it's really linked to the story, so I don't want to reveal too much.
It's not a sort of fundamental mechanic that players can play around.
It's more linked to the story.
Yes, so Romy DBG asked which graphics engine, so this is Unreal 4?
Unreal 4, correct.
Yep. Michael Michelli? How much of your inspiration came from other media containing vampires?
Oh, well, we've made a lot of researches back in the conception, and our first idea was to go back to the origin of the myth, you know, to the gothic figure of the vampire. So we took our inspiration with Bram Stoker's Dracula, of course, but also Anne Rice's, novels like Interview with a Vampire, so this kind of references.
But the vampire's really got its own mythology though. So as well as taking inspirations, like you have the different vampire types.
Well, we've decided to create our very own mythology based on all the, the folklore that exists around vampires. So we ask ourselves all the questions like, are they suffering the sunlight? Or do they see themselves in a mirror? Or do they fear crucifix? This kind, do they sleep in a coffin? All this kind of question, we have an answer. And of course, the most fundamental question, where the vampires are coming from. We also have a very specific answer for that in our mythology. So we are back on the evolution menu. So maybe we can try to unlock new abilities, just to change our playstyle once more. So this is the Shadow Mist ability, which is kind of an area of effect, aggressive ability. We can also improve some passive abilities, so the health, of course. Here we go, and we're good.
Great.
So again, this is possible because you have decided to sacrifice Dorothy. So we had a lot of XP to spend. And again, if in our game the difficulty depends on how many citizens you sacrifice. The more citizens you sacrifice, the easier will be the game.
So I'm just saying we're on 51% of status. So
that was pretty close to the hostile status.
So it's a good job we healed up Darius.
Yeah.
Because if we hadn't done that, there's a good chance it would have slipped into hostile and we would have lost this district.
Exactly.
Which would be a bit embarrassing. Someone asked if this is a AA game or a AAA game. What would you consider?
I would say it's a AA game. So don't expect something as big as a GTA or an Assassin's Creed or some games, some of these games. But what is good with AA games is that we have, I would say, more room for creativity. We are free to test new mechanism. We can take more risk, just to try something fresh.
Sure. Why?
So
sorry.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
This is the map, and as you can, so I think I forgot to mention that the game is built as a semi-open world where all the districts are interconnected. So this is smaller than a real open world, but which is good to create this illusion of a more intimate and mysterious world, you know, with a lot of different places to visit, lots of secrets to unveil, to learn more about the lore we've created, to learn more about what happened to the city since the disease spread, and different kinds of secrets from the citizens, of course.
Why Big B asks if any form of conflict can be avoided during the adventure. So is it possible to not do any fights?
You can avoid most of the combat if you want to, except for this one.
Good time.
Yeah, it's like a mini boss situation. So we have boss fights and also this kind of challenging situation. So yeah, let's say you can avoid 90% of the combat if you prefer. You can specialize in this stealth ability we have shown earlier, the Shadow Veil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Switching up some abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these kind of boss fights are a lot more difficult than regular fights.
Yeah.
These are the real test for the player. These are the ones where you're really going to start questioning, should I start killing?
Yeah.
Or should I start trying to upgrade all my weapons?
Or can I rely on my skill and can I overcome the situation with my own skill? Which is always possible.
Okay, another question that's pretty linked to what's happening right now. So G. Braga finds the concept of having to make difficult choices to level up interesting, but will Vampyr push players to make these difficult decisions with a good level of challenge? Is the game difficult, I guess? And how is the game's difficulty sort of tied in with the feeding system?
Because as you have seen before, when you exchange your XP into abilities, this is your way to level up, and maybe you have noticed that the enemies have a level. So if there is a big gap between your level and the enemy's level, then it will be harder to overcome the situation, because they will deal more damage and you will take more damage also, and you will deal less damage, sorry.
Yeah. So Catharsis 277 has said it's 1918, so do we meet former soldiers? And is the idea of PTSD
yeah, exactly.
explored?
Exactly. We, as you said, we have a lot of citizens, like roughly 60 citizens. So it was very interesting to try to create very various kind of archetypes, you know, soldiers, nurses, criminal, crook, priest, lots of different characters.
Yeah.
We try to depict, you know, the situation back in 1980s, where which was a period with a lot of social improvements, with a lot of medical discoveries. So it was very rich in terms of context to create very interesting characters, and we also try to create very colorful characters, you know, offbeat characters, because this is a dark universe, but we don't want to make a too serious game. So some people that you will meet are very funny, and some of them are also references to the books and the movies we've loved when we made research about the game.
Yeah, because the games are mainly set at night. A lot of the characters have weird reasons to even be out at that hour.
They all have a good reason.
And there's murderers and vampires everywhere.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Someone's asked, Singlehurst has asked, what are the different districts featured in Vampyrs London?
So there are 4 different districts. So Whitechapel, the one we visited earlier, and there's the hospital also, and you have the docks area and the West End area, which is more aristocratic.
Yeah.
And you can also expect to visit a lot of interiors, underground, lots of secret areas.
Sure.
Okay, so we are here in your room. We have reached the hospital. and this is where you work, and this is where you can also sleep and craft. And this is a very important place because you will meet a lot of important characters, story-wise.
Yeah. It's kind of like your base of operations, I guess. And it really brings Jonathan like in relation to the disease and doctor aspect of the game, because you're always in the game torn between the idea of you being a hunter and a savior of these people.
Yeah, exactly.
Shandy Yuda has asked if the game always takes place at night.
Yep, always, because you had in the beginning of the game you had a terrible experience with sunlight.
Yes.
So you decide not to work under the sunlight after this.
The sun is deadly in Vampyr. It's one of the classic traits that have been kept. Okay, I think we're ready to wrap up the stream, unless we have any more questions brought forwards. If not. But yeah, anyway, to sum up, this was Vampyr, the narrative action RPG from Don't Nod Entertainment. The game releases June 5th this year, so just in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's going to be available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PC, available to pre-order now. Thanks a lot for watching the stream. We're going to leave you with one of our trailers. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you very much.
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCullum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground, neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned. By the sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned the dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Rest assured, I will protect you and your staff.
McCullum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this.
Welcome to London 1918, as we leave Pembroke Hospital, a sacred ground where the vampires and the Guard operate in harmony. You're Dr. Jonathan Reid, and you're searching for somebody who threatens to dismantle that harmony in Don't Nod's narrative-driven action RPG, Vampyr. Exploring London, talking to her citizens will reveal hints about the location of your objectives, but you'll have to earn them by playing with the delicate social microcosms that tie the survivors of the Spanish flu and vampire societies together.
Of course I do. You're that man who seemed so lost when he entered my bar a few nights ago.
Thank you for your hospitality. I'm Jonathan Reid, by the way.
I'm still Tom Watts. Welcome back, Doctor.
Tom, I need to find Sean Hampton as quickly as possible. I've been told you could help me.
I heard the sad saint was recovering at Pembroke Hospital. Did he leave or something?
The important thing is I find him, quickly.
Why not try his night asylum? He takes care of those who need a meal or a roof there.
Where is it?
It's in an old warehouse, northwest of here. Just follow the bank to the west and go north when you reach the end of the pier.
So we're now en route to the docks to find Sean and understand why he's fled away from the hospital and probably killed another patient, Harriet Jones. As a vampire, you have access to skills in combat as well as outside of combat, often to help you traverse her semi-open world. The most efficient way to grow stronger is to feed from the healthy, not to fight those risking the flu and pollution in the streets to hunt vampires and skulls. If we were unable to beat this mini-boss, we would be tempted to return to the bar, and perhaps feed from Tom for a greater experience boost, returning stronger, but with London thinning in numbers. Vampyre's combat system uses a mix of melee and ranged weapons supported by vampire abilities that allow you to be the vampire you want to be. The gameplay is based on timing, positioning, and management of different resources. The stamina bar regulates your melee moves and dodges, the blood bar controls the use of your supernatural abilities, and the health bar represents your health. There are many areas to explore, loot, and pick up information to learn about the world, its lore, and what happened to London since disease spread. At the beach, we're fighting people operating under the head of the vampire hunters' orders. The Pruin guards are investigating this beach, searching for skulls.
Stay close, keep an eye on each other.
Skulls are a lesser species of vampires lurking in quarantine areas, underground or in dark corners. Due to the Spanish flu epidemic, they have suffered heavy mutations and have recently become very aggressive. It's part of your quest to understand how they became such creatures and ultimately find a cure to save them. In this world, the human vampire hunters and skulls are having their own fight. As long as we don't get too close, we can just move on. Sean is a saint who manages a night asylum to provide food and rest to the poorest. Unfortunately, he has recently turned into a skull. You believe that, incapable of dealing with his new condition, he has fled from the hospital, a sacred ground, and murdered Harriet Jones, an old woman who certainly didn't deserve it. Most importantly, he is the pillar of the dock community, which means he's a very important character whose fate will deeply impact the district and everyone who lives within it.
Are you certain you're not lost, sir? You seem quite a stranger to these parts.
Our exploration, social manipulation, and skills in combat have led us to where Sean has been hiding. We must find out the truth about the hospital's murders, and ultimately decide his fate, and the fate of those who rely on him. Cursed be the choice.
Welcome back, Dr. Reid. Would you like to take communion with me now?
Are you eating raw flesh?
It is the sacred flesh of the mortal lamb. Our Lord's bountiful transmutation for the sustenance of his believers. Thank you, Lord. I am your most humble servant.
So, true to your word, you waited for my return.
I told you, Dr. Reid, I was a man to be trusted. Did you have words with the poor Harriet?
This shelter is the tip of the iceberg. You hide your game well, I'll give you that.
We are God's children, Dr. Reid, one and all, and he's determined to save us.
Harriet, Miss Jones, has been behaving in a most violent manner. She's going to need special attention.
That's precisely the reason I brought her here. To meet old Bridget. She's the guide Harriet requires.
Harriet is possessed by her hatred. You cannot let her roam free. She's dangerous.
She has joined her own kind, Doctor. Old Bridget is a saint to the younger Scals, guiding them to salvation and peaceful existence.
I believe I've learned all I need to know. I'm certain you've killed no one, but one day I believe you'll cross the line.
Logic is a false prophet. Faith is the only path to salvation.
What do you mean?
We have been blessed with God's eternity. We are the instruments of His divine will. We shall feed the hungry forever and ever. Amen. Give yourself over to God, Doctor. Expel your urges and kneel before the Lord in praise.
These urges. You know the hunger will never be satisfied.
I've come to embrace the everlasting craving. I have sworn to feed only upon the flesh of the dead. It is now my sacrament. Take, eat. This is my body. So saith the Lord.